Hey everyone, I'm in the sort of place that I don't normally travel to. I'm in Manchester, England. This is one of the largest cities in England. It's known for the Industrial Revolution, for Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels hanging out here leading up to the Communist Manifesto. It's known for soccer team. I think actually much more interestingly, it's known for University of Manchester, which has 25 people that were affiliated with it that won the Nobel Prize. There's actually more people here have Nobel Prizes for at the moment than Cambridge or Oxford. And I'm in the center of the city right now, and I think it's already kind of funny. We have a corn exchange, we have Hanging Ditch, whatever that is. That's I guess they call it football museum. Being American, I still think soccer museum. And there's a lot of really interesting stuff about this place, actually. So we're very close to where actually a huge bomb was detonated. So the IRA detonated a gigantic, I think like 1,500, 1,600 kilogram bomb here in 1996. I do not really know all the stuff that led up to this because, I was reasonably young when I was hearing these news stories, and I didn't really kind of associate this place with this at the time. Pretty much this whole area was decimated. Nobody died, actually, which is wonderful. So I was kind of actually surprised they phoned, I think, something like 90 minutes in advance to warn to evacuate the people. But still more than 200 people were injured. And there's apparently like a small little post box or something that was left. We're going to take a look at that. And what am I doing in Manchester? So I'm kind of looking at this in some way like this might be like a sort of a lifestyle vlog, is maybe even the better way of looking at it than like a travel vlog, because it's about my life as a mathematician, where I'm traveling to, or now this is kind of as an American in Poland. Why am I in Manchester? That's kind of a good question to begin with. And it's just simply like Americans, we can stay in Poland. If we don't have a residence card, which I'm still waiting for, we can stay in Poland for 90 days. Then we need to go out of Schengen and come back to renew our visa. And because of Brexit, England is no longer in Schengen, so I can just kind of go and come back, and there's a really cheap Ryanair flight in and out. So I figured I'll stay here 2 days. What the hell's in Manchester? I don't know. And oh yeah, one very, very important thing I forgot to mention is the music scene. So there's a lot of very famous bands. Oh, well, I mean, maybe not as famous, but like, let's say important. So like, you have like The Smiths. Joy Division. I listened to a ton of Joy Division to get ready for the coming here. You have Oasis, and there's New Order, and a whole bunch of others. So I think that's actually a really cool thing about the city, and I want to get more into the city and see what's here today. Well, I found the post box that survived the bombing. It's over there, but there's something a little silly I found along the way. So this is, I found this in also Valencia and London, but this whole American candy thing here just kind of cracks me up seeing this. Of course they're charging way higher prices than they actually would in the US, but across, make sure a tram doesn't hit me. And so this bomb, like this is, I know this is like a dark thing to start the video about, but this is just shocking to me how like just destructive this is. It just destroyed the entire area except for this little post box here. So apparently it was moved while the reconstruction was going on. Hey, what's up? Bill's Aftermath.
Bill's Aftermath?
Yeah, I can type it. Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, you'll be in the video. Yeah, you'll be on. So,
Yeah, thank
all right.
you. I subscribe to Bill.
I think everybody subscribe to Bill's Aftermath. We'll say that at the end too. What's your name?
Muhammad.
Muhammad, and you're
Abdullah.
Abdullah. Okay.
Yeah, we're from Kuwait.
Oh, Kuwait. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
In the Middle East.
Cool.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Oh, cool. I don't think I've met anyone from Kuwait yet, so that's pretty cool. So, getting back to what I was talking about, this is the post box right here. And they have a plaque. So this was, as I understand it, was moved. Yeah, it was removed during the rebuilding of the city center and was returned to the site on November 22nd, 1999. So, Just yeah, this bomb, I think it was like the largest that was detonated, and after since World War II, and the largest peacetime bomb in England. How's the sound in the video? I'm using a new camera. This is the Osmo Pocket 3. I've mostly been using my GoPro Hero 10 for a while. So is it nice? I wanted to show something here. This is just all over the city. There's a ton of these lanterns, I guess, for Chinese New Year. Apparently there's a really big Chinese population. There's a Chinatown. Maybe we'll get to it. We can see what we can get to in time. So what I want to go to, actually, there's the Friedrich Engels statue, and I guess you call him, is this like the right British way of saying it, that wanker? I'm not sure. We never say that in Detroit, but this wanker has been following me around everywhere. So I was just in Wuppertal a bit ago, and that was his home, and they had a museum and everything, and at least with the Atlas Obscura description of this, they were actually glorifying him as an innovative thinker, which to me is just absolutely bonkers. So we're going to go and see that. Apparently they got this statue from Poltava, Ukraine, and it was like knocked down and it had like Ukrainian flag colors on it. Maybe this is a good sign. There's no direct buses or trams to the Engels statue, at least according to Google Maps right now. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to test a couple things. So how is this hyperlapse with the new camera? I had to stop my hyperlapse testing because there's really something kind of weird I found. So this is a restaurant that says Slug and Lettuce, and it's together since 1985. So maybe this is a British versus American English, or maybe they actually mean this. Do they actually mean like a slug, this little slimy thing that crawls on the leaves? I actually used to really like those when I was a kid, but I can't imagine that being really very appetizing. I think it's good I'm walking to the statue rather than taking a tram, because part of the fun is the journey. So here's a place that has kind of an interesting history. This is the Midland Hotel. And this is the place where Rolls met Royce, and they formed Rolls-Royce, so, that's cool. But there's something a little bit weirder here. So apparently this area was spared from the bombings in World War II because Hitler just loved it so much that he wanted this to be like the headquarters of the Nazis here. I don't know if he read like the Yelp reviews or if he stayed here for whatever reason or something. I mean, anyone can tell me in the comments, but I think they have like a Rolls-Royce car here. I don't want to get hit by the traffic. And while we're waiting for those cars to go by, I want to say right now, one of the things that's the most confusing and disorienting here is this whole like left side of the road stuff, because I have no idea. I can cross now. I have no idea what's going on with traffic. It's harder to safely jaywalk, and I just feel like I'm always hitting people if I'm staying on the wrong side. Yeah, look at that. Imagine driving this around. How is the time lapse? This is Manchester Central Station, which used to be for trains, but now it's for other events. And this is the area of the city we're in. We're getting closer to the Engels statue. I could probably make a whole video about that journey. Got the skyscrapers in this, I guess, bar or something like that. It really stands out and clashes with the architecture there. But I like this more, of course, than the skyscrapers. I keep getting distracted on the way to the Engels statue, but I found the absolute best part of town. So not only do we have Little Peter Street right here, does Little Peter sound as bad in British English as American English? We of course also have a very gigantic, huge, but smooth Peter right over there. And I'm not making this up. To top this all off, just right over here we have humps for 160 yards. So there is no way that this is accidental. Okay, we finally made it, at least during daylight, and this is in Poltava. Could be Russian or Ukrainian, but I'm sure it's Russian because this is Soviet times, and I don't think they really like the Ukrainian language that much. That's a F in Russian, so like Friedrich, and that's a Engels. I'm really bad with my pronunciation. It's like a G, and this is like the soft symbol right here. And this was, outside of Poltava, and they damaged the statue. You can kind of see where he was cut in half in the center. And they have the blue and the yellow paint because it was in Ukraine. So, of course, the only positive comment I can say about that, Slava Ukraina. But yeah, I just really got to say kind of my thought on this sort of thing, because I'm not one for destroying statues about dark parts of history. We have this controversy in the United States as well. But the problem is when they're really being celebrated because, this guy, I mean, what did he do? He was here, of course, with Karl Marx for more than 20 years, hanging out at the bars, writing down his Communist Manifesto and everything. And, what's the legacy? It's how many tens of millions of people were killed from communist regimes. It's rightfully so. You don't see anyone putting anything in honor of Mein Kampf, as they shouldn't. It was a horrible thing, but even more people died and suffered because of this guy's work. So it's really just kind of shocking to me. Like, you have to come from like such a huge point of privilege to actually believe like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. All the tens and tens of millions of people that have died due to this failed experiment. No, I would just do communism the right way. These weren't real communist utopias. So I don't know. So I'm totally fine with this being here as part of the history of the place. But I mean, where's any disclaimer, explanation of like, what was all the huge harm to come of this work that he wrote. So that's really the thing that I don't like about this. And I don't know, like even on the Atlas Obscura site, they're talking about him being like this innovative philosopher and all that, and I'm just like vomiting in my mouth, like reading that sort of thing. So I don't know, and I just kind of to follow up with that as well, I was actually at his home in Wuppertal not that long ago, and the guy was like a total trust fund kid. He's unhappy with daddy's money, obviously, and I can understand this is where Industrial Revolution started. There was a lot of suffering coming from that, but like, I don't know. I mean, I don't see that as being really an excuse to produce such a thing. I was getting in a little bit of a bad mood because of this whole Ingalls thing, and fortunately Manchester is jolly and cheered me up with another funny thing. So not too far from Little Peter Street, we also have Wood, Manchester. And I don't know, is this like an American English thing or a British English thing? Do they still think about wood the same way in England as they do in the US? Someone can tell me in the comments on this. Next destination is Gay Village in Manchester, and there's some actual interesting things there. I was walking around there last night when I arrived, and oh god, I'm so worried about distractions because look what we got here. We got this pretty cool looking abandoned building. I don't even know what this is. Percy Brothers Ltd, the Hotspur something? Is it like a abandoned factory? Limited India Rubber Works? Like this is where they make condoms or something? I'm not really sure.
Only sailors use condoms, baby.
The place looks sketchy as hell. The name is funny. That tower's pretty cool looking. So I really just need to get to this bus stop before I just get completely distracted and spend like the entire rest of the day just like poking around the buildings here. One of these double-decker British buses. This is a lot of fun. I made it here before it got dark, so taking the bus was really good to avoid distractions. I'm sure there's plenty of interesting stuff I walked by that I could see later. And the double-decker thing was pretty cool, I think. And we are on Canal Street. This is where the LGBT district is. And these signs, there used to be apparently some signs much closer to the ground. And what's the most hilarious, childish thing you can do? You can vandalize it by taking the C and scratching it out and making it Anal Street. And I don't know, like that's just so like childish and silly. I just think it's hilarious, to be honest. But apparently people were really, really persistently doing this until they actually moved it up, and I guess you can't really reach it anymore and do it so easily. But this is also a good time to mention this bee is really a symbol of Manchester. It has to do with the worker bees, because it was such an industrial town with the factories and everything, and have all these bees working together to build the hive and everything. So you'll see it all throughout Manchester. And in case there is any ambiguity whatsoever in the part of town we're in, this building very clearly states it. So there's an interesting history of here too. Like I don't really know like the history that much of this place, but apparently like this was actually getting pretty popular with bachelorette parties. And so there'd just be tons and tons of bachelorette parties. And around, like, I think I read an article from the BBC around like 2007, 2008. Apparently they were instituting gay tests to get into the bars because there are just too many bachelorette parties. And I'm not sure what these are. Maybe someone can tell me in the comments. Like, I don't know. This is like, I think something was about like which magazines you read. And apparently a lot of actually gay people were turned away. I don't know if it's like Sex in the City of trivia questions. I have no idea. The thing sounds just totally crazy to me. But apparently that's illegal now and they're not doing it anymore. And this canal here, I think this is, as I understand, what the street is named after. Here's a giant bee, and just a little foreshadowing to who we're going to see in a little bit. A truly great man. Does anyone recognize who this is a drawing of? And here's the main reason I actually came to this specific area. Here we have an actually truly great man. Unlike the whole Engels thing, who caused a lot of suffering, this man was one of the most important people of the 20th century. So this is the great Alan Turing. Of course, he had people know about him for his involvement in, the Enigma Code and all that in World War II. Of course, his efforts, as well as efforts of others as well, saved many lives. But he has far greater influence as that. He's known as the father of computer science. He came up with the idea of a Turing machine, which, anyone who studied computer science or certain areas of math is very familiar with. And he even, I'm glad that other people are here paying respect to Turing. Yeah, so his work is even relevant to my current research. So he had an unpublished manuscript in 1939 on normal numbers. And roughly speaking, a normal number in base B is where the digits are uniformly random. I mean, that's taking out a few details. And he had the first example of a number that was normal in all bases, the first computable example, something you could hypothetically program a computer to spit out. So that's, of course, not his most important work. Of course, what he did towards, computer science and all that was far more influential. But mad respect here. This is actually truly a great thinker, unlike the whole Engels sort of bullshit we're just dealing with. I've just been sitting here a bit longer and thinking. I was just talking to some of the people there that were also coming to pay their respects. And, Turing, he's one of my mathematical heroes. So I think it makes more sense for me to stay here a little longer and reflect. And something to put it in perspective as well with what was going on. Like, he was born in 1912, died in 1954, so he was about my age when he died. And, what actually happened here. So homosexuality was illegal at the time, and there's a whole long story, but he was sort of found out and confessed to this crime. And he was chemically castrated, and he was, of course, suffering greatly, and he died not too long after, as well as even, like, from a professional level, he was restricted from getting a security clearance. I think here it says something like that that was considered that homosexualities can be bribed. Yeah, it's open to, at the time, homosexualities were considered open to bribes. I'm done with the Turing Memorial, and now it is dark out. So this is low light, and I want to test that with the new camera. Certainly the GoPro Hero 10 couldn't handle that. Right now I'm in low light mode with the Osmo Pocket 3 using a light pollution filter from Freewell. So how does it look? Oh yeah, I'll get you all going. It's surrounding some interesting people here, so I thought it was dead, but then I saw you, and that's like.
She's never dead.
Street might be dead, and so am I, love. Without a few bags and a drink, who knows what happened. How are you anyway?
Sorry, what?
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just kind of going around.
Where you from?
I'm from Detroit.
Oh, America.
Yeah.
Wow.
I live in Poland.
It's a nice tea, can you not tell?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So New York City, Detroit, yeah.
Hiya, fellas.
So, like, what does this place mean to you? Like, it's
It's
Cash.
yeah.
cash.
No, to be honest, it's like a second home
It's home.
to me.
It's home, isn't it? It's home.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here every bloody day.
It's home.
So.
Yeah.
It's home.
Yeah, it's like it's really welcoming to
Oh
everyone.
my
or-
God, everyone. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
home. It's home to everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, I was interested in this area because the Alan Turing Monument. So I got exploring around here a little
So,
bit.
fun little fact for you, I only found out about Alan Turing 2 months ago.
Oh, really?
Genuinely.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because I was in there, you know what I mean? Stop
What you do
talking
there?
and-
What you do there?
Oh, baby.
It's airport now.
Wish. I wish. Oh, right, what time is it? Oh, shit.
All right, well, you gotta go. All right, it was
Sorry
good meeting you.
about that.
No problem.
You too, Julian.
All right, well, have a good night then.
You too. See you later. Get
Alright.
pissed, stay safe, and all that.
All right, later. Octopus energy. It's an octopus, but you talk to a human. Maybe in Manchester, humans are considered octopuses, or octopuses are humans. I'm not really sure how this works. I've been seeing this around town. I actually need to work, so I could still be wandering around town a bit, but for one, most things aren't really open. And two, I have a referee report, so I'm reviewing someone's paper that's submitted to a journal. It's anonymous, so I'm not going to say what the paper was about or anything. But I need to write a report to the journal. Is the math correct? All this other type of stuff.
I want to follow you.
Sure. Bill's Aftermath.
Where are you from?
Detroit.
Next song will be for you.
Okay, great, awesome.
Request any song, come on.
Play a Pitbull. Play some Pitbull. Hotel room service. Awesome. Thank you. What was your name?
Social media, Instagram, Facebook, Danny VIP.
Okay, Danny VIP. You're nice enough to play that song for me on request. All right, thanks a lot. Interesting note, I didn't record it, but he came up to me actually because he saw I had the Osmo Pocket 3 and he knew what that was. So I think it's kind of becoming a popular camera. I mean, I know a lot of this has been about testing it. So my bus is here and I will actually go home rather than talking to random people on the street. Well, good morning. I was actually very productive last night and worked so much I forgot to even record anything saying good night. So I'll just very quickly show the room. It is absolutely nothing spectacular, but it was a place to stay for the night. I forgot the price. I'll put it in the subtitles, and it's I got to be careful because I think my key's probably not valid anymore because it's right around checkout, but there's a shared bathroom and everything and a TV downstairs, and I have actually a while until the flight. It's about noon right now, and my flight is at 6:40 p.m., so I have a lot of time just to kind of wander around the city first. I think it's definitely not high tourist season, so I pretty much had this room to myself. I could just kind of work on the table over there. Even though it's really sunny out, it's still barely above freezing, and I am standing in front of Halfords right now, so that makes me think of Rob Halford from Judas Priest, breaking the law. So I think I watched too much Beavis and Butthead when I was younger, just walking around the strip mall a little bit. There's some kind of funny things okay, this is no big deal at all. We have a Lidl. There's Lidl everywhere. But there was some guy in there. I was unfortunately not recording, but I was getting some groceries, and there's some guy who just goes up, he's like, "Oi!" to some other guy. And he says something, I guess, in English that wasn't really comprehensible to me. It's like, "Whoa," and then he says, Bilbo Baggins, and then he's like, "Whoa." There's one really important, annoying detail to deal with before I fly. So Ryanair will charge you something like a €55 or more fee if you don't print out the boarding pass beforehand to go in. If you don't have EU documents, Wizz Air does not do this. So I'm looking somewhere for a place to print. I'm in a mall now. This is really a big waste of time. I want to try to make it to the Science Museum and mail a postcard. So I'm told that this store over here should print. Here it is, what I've been looking for, and this cost me £2.80 or pence. I'm not sure what they call it here. I think it's pence. And it's, like I said, completely pointless. I'm just going to go to the Ryanair desk and they're going to give me my tickets. One of the really cool things about Manchester, I heard, is that the museums are free. And yesterday, I was posting and checking in a bunch of stuff on Facebook in Manchester, and a Facebook friend of mine, Adam Wolf, suggested that I see the Science and Industry Museum. So it's 3:20 right now. I think it closes at 5, and my flight is at 6:40. So I unfortunately don't have that much time here, but I'm going to go through and just kind of get a feel for it as much as I can, because clearly this is a very important part of Manchester's history. This is really, really cool. This is a replica of this first computer that executed a stored program called Baby. And it's saying here the very first iPads were 10,000 times faster than this, so of course much smaller as well. You know, I never even worked in the day when there were punch cards. You know, for me it's cool because I like computers and everything, and I did a lot of programming. So working on something like this, I just can't even imagine.
But if these pairs pop into being at the edge of a black hole, it is possible for one of the pair to be drawn in by gravity and the other to escape its clutches, forming Hawking radiation.
This particular one really interested me, so it looks like it's spinning some sort of carpet right here, and just kind of going back to old school things I never had to deal with. But this almost looks like the punch cards they had in the early computers where there was a program, like maybe somehow or another it reads that information up there and spits out a different pattern. I don't know. They are advertising this poo exhibit everywhere. And it looks kind of tempting, except I need to get to the airport, and this actually is not free. So the rest of the museum, it's wonderful. It turned out to be totally free, but it's £10 for an adult to go to the poo exhibits, and I think it's like $9 for a kid. Sadly, I need to leave Manchester now. I want to really rush to the airport because I had some difficulty getting down here. So just to make sure nothing goes wrong. And I guess on the way, I'll just give my closing thoughts. So I haven't really been to England that much. You know, spent a couple days in London, and a lot of what I saw was just like Ukrainian war protests and a few other things. So, you know, what do I really think of this place? And there's a lot of stuff that's sort of like an eerie reminder of American culture. Like kind of like you take American culture, mix some European stuff in with it, and take like a mirror image. Like there's some some simple things that really remind me of home, like seeing guys walk around in cold ass weather wearing jackets and shorts. I mean, that's something you see in like Detroit, where I'm from, or Ohio, or Pennsylvania, and I'm totally guilty of still doing this in Poland. So I can totally understand where they're coming from on that. That was one thing. Even seeing like the nightlife. So unfortunately I didn't get it recorded, but when I was here on Saturday night, like the nightlife here was raunchy, and I could probably just make a whole video just going around looking at that, talking to people there. You know, people are of course just like in the US, wearing next to nothing with no jacket and cold weather, standing in line and just kind of, you know, getting really, really drunk. It feels kind of like say what you see in Columbus, Ohio, at least when I was living there, except maybe cranked up a little bit, but not necessarily that much. And I remember even myself not bringing a jacket. So I'm also guilty of the same things. You know, in Poland, people make fun of this. They're like, oh, this is so trashy and weird. This is how it is in the UK. And it kind of doesn't bother me. There's a certain familiarity to it, to be honest. So that's pretty much it. So I need to actually get to the airport. By the cats when I got back to Poznan. So just kind of want to close things that I think it was an interesting place to visit. You know, I was only there for a little bit. There's tons more things to see, and I didn't get that much out of the center. Oh, it's a little purring cat. Those claws are sharp. I really need to trim them. So I definitely want to go back. I'm a little sad I didn't run into Morrissey or anything like that, or any of the guys from Joy Division, but it was a nice trip. So just the usual, you know, like, comment, subscribe, watch the video like 50 times or something is going to help with the algorithm. And I'm going to just rest for the remaining part of the evening. Oh. Oh man. This is cute, but it's also quite painful.